You can introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Alex Long. I live in Ohio. I am not a pastor, just a normal person.
And I am Sarah Locke. I am the pastor for Jacksonville Campus Ministry here in Jacksonville, Florida. And Alex
Ooh.
Long and I did campus ministry together way back in the day.
Yeah.
So that is why we're here this morning. We have the text Luke 24, and I think it's all of Luke 24. So yeah, all of Luke 24, long reading. And it begins with Jesus appearing in the tomb and the resurrection. And then it goes on to the walk to Emmaus. And then Jesus appears to his disciples again on the beach, and they eat together. And then it ends with the ascension. So those are all of the pieces, lots of stuff that happens in these texts. So
I like that so much of it. I mean, discounting the whole person coming back from the dead, but so much of it is just normal stuff. Like people grieving after a loved one has died, and then being told, like, he told you what was going to happen. And that's something that's reflected in all four sections, is that, don't you remember, I said this was going to happen. And then walking on a journey, just eating together, hanging out. I just think that so much of it's normal and not life or death. Like, this kid has to be healed because they'll die otherwise. And it's just normal everyday stuff.
I like that too. I think that it has something to say about, like, I mean, we call it ordinary time after Easter, right? Like, we go into the time after Pentecost, eventually after Easter. And but I think that there's something really exciting and unique about, like, ordinary time, when we get to experience, like, growth, when we get to experience this journey that we don't always get to focus on when we're in the midst of, like, Lent or Advent on either side.
So much of our lives is ordinary time. Like, at least 90% of our lives is not like a crisis or a celebration. It's just ordinary, everyday, not memorable stuff. And I like that, like, one, God recognizes that, and then the church also recognizes that with ordinary time.
Yeah, I love that too. And in campus ministry, this walk to Emmaus is, I talk about this all the time. And the Lutheran Church also talks about accompaniment all the time, and this idea of, like, walking alongside people in their grief, in their joy, in whatever journey that they're on. And recognizing that we can just kind of come up beside them and offer maybe a word, maybe a comfort, but maybe just our presence. And I really like that too.
Yeah, and I like that it's reflected, like, still to this day, if somebody's grieving, like, you bring them food. And, like, Jesus does that in this chapter. It's like, you guys sad? Here's some fish, here's some bread.
Yep. I love that too.
Also, I'm still alive.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And the recognition of community, and I mean, like, that's when they recognize Jesus, right? Like, when he breaks the bread in front of them. And
Yeah.
I think that that's when we often experience that grace, is when we're breaking bread with people, when we're feeding them or being fed by them.
And I like that it's like everybody's with each other. Like, nobody's alone in this chapter. And throughout the whole Bible, it's like it's notable when somebody goes off on their own for silence, or so like our default position is to be with each other, to be in community.
Yeah, I like that too. Oh, I think so. I think this is the very last video before Easter Sunday. Um,
Ooh.
so because this is like the last, I don't know, the last chapter of Luke, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, so that's such a good word for the end, right? That like we are made for community. Um, that's our default. I love that.
And we're allowed to have silence and be by ourselves and be solitary to like decompress, but like our default is to be with each other.
Yeah. I love that. Well, all right. Um, should we end in prayer?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to pray or do you want me to pray?
You start.
Okay, great. God of life and mercy and resurrection, we thank you for the words that you have given us in this entire gospel according to St. Luke. And we thank you for giving us the time to reflect on these words and reflect on the people who have been a part of bringing these words to life in this time.
God, first of all, I have a confession. I'm sorry that I just continually expect you to work for me instead of just being together in a relationship with you. Like, I don't expect that from every human I'm involved with to just do things for me. That'd be outrageous. So I would like to just remind myself and anybody listening to this prayer that sometimes, most of the time, God probably just wants to be in a relationship with us, to hang out with us. And then it doesn't always have to be about working for each other or doing things for each other. We could just be with each other. Amen.
Amen.